Hey everybody, this is Dana with CoachDanaInspires.com, and I am so incredibly happy that we're here today. We're going to have a slightly different show, different information, and shared in a different way. This is Business Inspiration, and I come every Tuesday to talk to you at this particular time, and we are excited that Marty Dickinson from HereNextYear.com is with us today. And the reason he's here today is because we're going to throw a little monkey wrench into the pile and have fun. I've known Marty a long time. He is a friend, a coach, a mentor, a bud, and he's going to be interviewing me. And he's an author. Look at that. Lions win anyway. Absolutely. And so, hi, Marty. Let me see. I'm usually the one who says, "How are you today?" And let's get started. So, how are you today?
Terrific. How are you today? Because you are in the spotlight.
I'm in the hot seat, baby. I am fine. Thank you so much. I'm great. My husband's great. We're well. We're happy. Um, we're working it.
And you're
Absolutely.
celebrating. Did you know? You are celebrating.
I
This is
am.
your 24th anniversary. Your 24th anniversary of presenting on Virtual Live. You've had
Yes.
24 episodes since we started this in late June. So
Yes.
congratulations. That's a
Thank
24
you.
episodes is commitment. It takes time to prepare for these things. It takes time to line up guests, and it takes time to show up every week. I mean, you are the one that has to be here every week, whether your guests show up or not.
And that's happened, but that's okay. We work it anyway.
You do these things enough, and eventually everything happens.
Yes. Yes.
That's the challenge to it all. And yet you persevered and you've learned a lot. And that's really what I want to focus on. I think a lot of people could benefit from what you have learned over the past few months. I just want to start with that, and we will see where things go. So, what have you learned since you started your first live interview with an expert guest for your show?
Right. Well, I've learned a lot about Facebook, a lot about Facebook Live, a lot about Zoom. So those are nuts and bolts kind of things that I've learned. And, luckily I have people that I can, just ask that quick question. How do I do this? And what do I do to get that thing to do that thing? And I love that. And I'm grateful to all the people who helped me, because I certainly could not just do anything without those folks. The other thing is I've learned what to do with people. I've learned you can have it all planned. Okay, I'm going to ask you these questions, and anybody who's watched more than one, I always start with these three questions, and people know. My guests know I will ask these questions, and then I want them to tell me what can I ask them to kind of lead us to the information, the meat that they really want to share with people. So they know the questions I'm going to ask, all six of them. They've given me three themselves. Sometimes, the pony jumps the fence and goes someplace else. That's the best way I can tell you here in Wyoming, that the pony is not always in the corral. Yeah, we have gone places where I was not expecting. None of it has been bad. We have talked about things that I think are very meaningful and beneficial to the viewers. Just not what I expected. If anything had been, just not important, I mean, just trash, I would have had to have said, okay, so back to your such and such, whatever they are
And a
about.
lot of people are like that. They have a very strict schedule of what they need to cover within a
Hmm.
certain amount of time. So if you stray at all, you're just cut off and brought back. So give us an example of how that might have happened with one of your guests and how it had a successful outcome. Because I mean, podcasting and virtual live events it's really the only way right now that we have to communicate one to many. in the business world. I mean, still with COVID all over the place, I mean, people are just not booking very many anyway, live in-person events. So a lot of people watching your show could potentially wind up doing the same thing. They could take that opportunity, start a podcast, and so you have the ability to get them on the right foot here. So give us an
Ah,
example so that you might mentor someone to let it go. I mean, let the conversation go where it may, and give us an example of how that turned out to be a beneficial thing.
right. And so, I mean, I've had guests where, again, I ask my 3 questions, and each question is taking us down the road to get to the point of what you do that would be helpful to the viewers. And I've had one guest where I've asked the first question, and the rest of the 25 minutes was really talking about some experiences and some lessons learned and things that they've gone through that we may be going through, and how can we change our mind and attitude about this COVID thing, and don't be depressed. And I mean, people get depressed, so that's okay, get depressed, but get out of it and get out of the funk, and find the goal and keep moving forward. And I just I listened, I listened for a while, and then I kind of slip in part of the questions that I was supposed to ask that they gave me to ask, and oh, okay, and then absolutely, and we just made that transition back a little closer to the road that we had originally started on. And for me, I don't know, some people are not as fast thinkers as others, and so when I have my list here, this is what I'm going to be asking. Okay, fine. Well, if they go off the bunny trail, if it's a good trail, I don't mind. And so for me, it's like, okay, just and I just change the flow. And if I can get back to some of the questions to get us back a little closer, I think for me, that's the way to go. I am not, anyone who knows me, I'm not super rigid. I'm not super, this must be this way or else. I can't function that way. And if someone wants to interview me and they're that way, I can do the interview, but I can't live my life that way. And this is me. When I interview people and we're talking and we're laughing and saying sometimes some pretty silly things, that's just who I am. And not everybody likes that, and I'm okay with that. I am absolutely okay with not being everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
if I was everyone's favorite, it would be a weird world.
you're not going to make everybody happy no matter what you do. So why
Yep.
not just be yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, out of your list of guests that you've had, I see at least 3 on here that 2 of them have actually been on my show. So
Yes.
I know them very well. But one of the people I wanted to ask you about was Mark LeBlanc, because I know him through National Speakers Association. He has spoken at the Colorado chapter. And I was just curious how you wound up meeting Mark and how he's been influential in your business and life.
Right. Mark LeBlanc, he and Henry DeVries with Indie Book International, they were at Darren LaCroix's. There's all these names popping up. I feel like I'm talking about superstars here that I just happen to know. Marty Dickinson being one of them. And they were at one of Darren LaCroix's events. And you know me, I was just chatting away and met them and went to one of their events. And I'll be doggone, Mark LeBlanc and I just clicked, and he is, a lot of people are givers. A lot of people will take their time and, help, give you a little, minute advice over here in the corner after a conference or something. Mark LeBlanc is just a giver. He wants everyone to succeed, and certainly he has a business. He makes a living, and he also, I think, for me, he really mentors me in that, give. It's okay to give.
Sure.
It's really okay to give, because it all comes back somehow. And maybe it's not monetarily, but it all comes back in love, in trust, in just having genuine relationship with somebody. He's yeah, and he's an author and blah 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 and all those great National Speaker Association things. But I think he's really an example of, if you give, it comes back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, how did you feel about approaching him to be a guest? Was he open to that right away? Did you have to talk him into it? And I'm asking this really broadly for people who are going to need to be going out and getting guests. Is it an easy thing to do? Are people pretty much open to it? Or are they real standoffish and who are you kind of person?
Yeah. Why would I be on your show?
After guests?
Yeah, I made a list of peeps that I would feel comfortable asking. That was the first list. My little list of peeps that I feel comfortable with. People that I know, like you, Mark LeBlanc. So anyway, blah blah blah. So those were easy people. It's like, hey, dude, I'm doing this little thing. What do you think?
Mhm.
I'd be happy to. Let's pencil it in. Very easy, soft sale, was no big deal. Then there were other people who I sort of had to, and I don't mean chase like in a creepy stalking way, but well, maybe some, but where I had to email. I kind of had to find a phone number on the, it's not on their website. Wait, how do I get a hold of you? LinkedIn messages, some of that. I've only had one person say, you know what, I can't do it right now. Right now, I can't even think about putting it on my calendar.
Okay.
Oh, okay, no problem. But the interesting thing is that person contacted me 2 months later saying, are you still doing that thing? And I go, yeah. Okay, if you take me, I would like to be your, a guest. I'm like, sure. So they were just not in a good place. I've had people say, I'm in the middle of doing something. I have a project that has to be done by this date. I can't even think. I can't
Sure.
even think about putting it on a calendar 3 months from now.
I
Okay.
appreciate their honesty.
Without a doubt. I don't want someone to say yes and then the day before,
Yeah.
message me and say, oh, I can't make it.
Yeah.
I did have somebody contact me. This is about 6 days prior, in ahead, and they said, I just tested positive for COVID. I don't know how I'm going to feel. And I
Mhm.
said, you know what? You need to get well, and
Yep.
we will talk later.
Yep.
And I was able to call, one of my peeps and call in a favor. Boy, do I owe them a bunch. But and so they were in my guest that week. COVID, hello, this is kind of why we're doing this. So and then there are people who, I'm not really, I really like them. I really respect what they do. But we really don't know each other. Some of those people have gone, hey, yeah, I'm interested. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And others have gone, no. And there are some times when I hear crickets or not, so for me, especially when it was first started, it was like, hi, I'm doing this little thing. Yay. Now I can invite people and say, you know what? I've had this and this and this person on here. These are people would you like to join the fun?
Mhm.
That might be a little helpful down the road.
Yeah, I hope everybody watching this listens to that, because that's a $1 million nugget right there, what you just said. That you started off with your easy list of who you knew, sure, whenever, and then you used that list to build another list, and now you're going after people that you don't know at all. You just are familiar with their topic, and you research and find them, and just invite him. But now you have the confidence because you've
Yeah.
built this show with 24 episodes. You've got some legs in this thing here. So of course they will go check you out before saying yay or nay if they'll be part of it. But that's really an important distinction there, is to start out with people that you know, and don't try to go after the highest level, really hard to get people at first, but as you build and you get some traction, those people are going to look at those other guests and say, ooh, well, if that person was on as a guest, maybe I
Right.
should too.
Right. So I think for my 100th show,
Yeah, right.
for my 100th show, I'll go for, yeah, I don't know, Tony Robbins or see if I can, John Maxwell, see if he'll hop on for a minute or two.
Absolutely. Why not? I think, and I have actually heard that when you get into the more celebrity type of names, they like to be a part of an episode that has some sort of landmark like that, just
Yeah.
because it's considered a special deal and they feel honored that you're approaching them for that special episode, and they're more likely to say yes. So little tidbit I'm hearing out there.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure I committed just now to 100. I just use that kind of as a.
Well, now it's time to take your live show on Facebook and make it into a formal podcast and get it out to all the podcast directories. Ooh.
There you go. Woohoo! Well, and speaking of that, it was so funny. I contacted a gentleman, Stormy Andrews, and he's a podcast dude, and I had met him again through something that Darren LaCroix had, and so I contacted him. He wouldn't remember me from anybody, we are Facebook friends, but what does that mean? Really, in reality, what does that mean? And so I contacted him, and I know you don't remember me, but blah blah blah. This is how we met. Oh yeah, okay. I remember the event, and he was honest, like, I don't remember you, but I remember the event, and so I'm doing this thing, and he goes, "This is fabulous. My business partner and I just were talking about this, that we want to be on 100 shows next year." And I
Wow.
said, "Well, book your first one here, baby. Let's go." So you don't know. I really kind of thought he might be one of those. Oh, why would I want to be on your show? Who are you?
Yeah.
But instead, he was thrilled, and I'm thinking, "Ching!" So I'm so happy. Yeah.
Well,
So that was great.
the other side of the coin is actually being a guest, and so now you've had a lot of experience with being the host and bringing in guests. What sort of advice do you have for people that are new to being a guest on Facebook Live or a podcast? How can you help them to be better guests?
I think when the host asks you to supply something ahead of time, be cognizant of that when it comes time. Like, have the email. Okay, I sent her these questions. She's going to be asking me these questions, so I need to be ready for that. Be open to talking about something else that happens to come along, but also don't bail. If you're sitting there going, I don't this is 25 minutes, like, pull up your pants or your boots or whatever you got on or not. And for 25 minutes, be as gracious and wonderful as you can be, I had one guest that his wife had to go to work and leave him with, a 5-year-old. But the 5-year-old was very quiet, and he behaved, and he says, if you're okay, I'm okay. And I said, little entertainment, no problem. So just be ready, available, and mind the time. If it's 25 minutes, if it's 45 minutes, if it's 5 minutes, whatever it is, you got 5 minutes to say what's on your mind. Say it.
That's great. Well, I want to, because we're getting to that time. I mean, the time goes really fast.
Yes. Yes. And Marty, can I just say something really, really fast? On every single show that I've ever done, I've looked at the clock and I've gone, okay, we're only 10 minutes into this. I don't know how we're going to fill, 25. Oh dear. And then suddenly It's
So
it
fast.
is literally, 22 minutes, and I'm going, we could be doing this for another hour. It's so great. So if you start doing this and you're going, oh God, this is going no place, just start asking and start talking and doing, and it fills up. So you had another question, Marty. I'm sorry. I just thought it was
Well, I'm just,
fascinating.
I'm trying to interview you for, as I always do, for the benefit of the audience, not just me as one person. And I just wonder if there's an opportunity out there for you to help people who are getting started with this, or they're thinking, I know I've put this off. People have told me I should start interviewing people, and I really need another way to start getting traction in my business. I mean, we're in a weird time right now. So if you're doing the same thing
Yeah.
that you did a year ago and it's still not working, you need to look into doing different things. So how might you be able to help someone to get started with this?
Yeah. I'd be super happy to um, talk to you. I could coach you. I mean, I am a coach, mostly women entrepreneurs and business owners, but I do coach men, and I do have two male clients, along with the chicks that I do. But yeah, this would be something I would love to help you out with. I would love to be your first guest and walk you through the process and how this works. And um, I'll my information. Ho ho. Hey, you know what? Speaking of, I happen to have information that people can use when they if they want to get a hold of me. It's just as simple as all that. There I am, Dana Morgan Barnes at CoachDanaInspires.com. Email is Dana@CoachDanaInspires.
That's
So
great. So
yeah.
Dana, I'm going to ask you just one final question, and then I'll let you wrap up your own show in the way that only you can. But I just want to close with this, because you have this book, The Power of Kindness. And I've noticed that the guests that you have on your show, and you even remarked today how there's a kindness factor to your guests. And I'm just curious if there's some sort of a correlation between the main theme in your book versus what you look for in guests when you bring them on a show. And I just thought maybe you should comment on that.
Yeah, thanks for that. I do, and sometimes I fail. So people, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I could be really crabby and not very kind. But generally speaking, I really, every day, I want to be kind. I want to show kindness, and uh, uh, I want someone to walk away and go, that was really nice that that person let me in, or that person just chatted with me, or I feel better now because, I mean, that's what I want. And so the people that I'm drawn to are people who I think are the same way. We're all wanting to earn a living, and if you're not making a living, we're all trying to succeed and live our passionate life, which would be really what we all should be doing. And while we're doing that, why can't we be kind while we're living our passion? If your passion is beating up people, that seems like a pretty miserable existence. But if you're kind, if you're willing to take that minute to say, yeah, I can answer that question for you. Hey, give me a phone call. I may not be able to talk to you right now, but I'll be glad to talk to you later. And be open to people, and have empathy for them. Because when I call somebody and say, I'm doing this Facebook Live thing and I don't know what to do about this, and someone just takes that minute, it means everything to me to be able to, wow, thank you. Anything I can do, here I am, little nobody, but anything I could do for you, big person who told me that thing, I want to do it. And so I think, yeah, looking for kind people is a very important thing for me.
That's great, especially during Christmas week and as we face New Year's coming up. Here's your opportunity, that one random act of kindness.
That's it. That's it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Marty, this has been fun, a little quirky and weird and different for me, but I've had a blast doing it, and I want to thank you so much. We have known each other a long, long time, and so if anyone was going to ask me some crazy probing questions that's on the minds of all inquiring people, that would be you. And again, I just want to share. your information so that if anyone is interested in Marty Dickinson, herenextyear.com. He's a great guy. He knows tons and tons of stuff about writing books, about websites, about speaking. He's a great guy. And then here's my information below, CoachDanaInspires.com. And of course, you do have the power of kindness, available on Amazon or my website. Hey, I got to plug my own book. Yay!
Right.
So everybody, I'm thrilled that you were here. And by the way, if you're ever watching one of these things, be sure and like react to it. You know, I don't care if it's a laughing face, a sad face, just a thumbs up, or a comment. Folks like me have no idea you're out there watching.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, it gives us a big boost to go, oh, that was nice. Someone else watched that. Someone else liked that. So get out there and do that. I try to do that whenever I can for people who I find it beneficial for me when I watch their things. So be sure and do that. It is the holiday season. It's Christmas time. So everybody out there who celebrates Christmas, Merry Christmas. It was just Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. Diwali, Ramadan's coming up eventually in the spring. So everybody get out there, celebrate, be kind to each other, be super, super kind to each other. So Marty, thanks again. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday on Business Inspiration.